Welcome to a special edition of TruExact show. We have our first non-rapper on the show, actually. You might be pleased to hear that, Mr. Chris Lopresti. First non-rapper on the show. Really pleased to have you. You might know him from WFAN as CeeLo, and his name here is Chris Lopresti. How are you doing, buddy? You staying safe out there?
Yeah, I'm staying safe, but now the pressure's on, I guess. First non-rapper.
Yeah.
Right?
Brian and I do one. We've had battle rappers on. We've had a couple rappers. Shout out to John Connor. Just released his album yesterday. SOS. Go pick that up. Shameless plug for him. Sorry about that. But this is about you here. So we're joined here with Joe. We're joined here with Ray. And once again, Brian on the top left. So, CeeLo, can we go with that, or you want to go by Chris here?
Whatever makes you guys comfortable. I'm good either way.
All right. Yeah, everyone kind of knows you, CeeLo, around a group of friends. We all listen to the fan, huge fans. The update guy, or you or Jerry Greco. I personally like you, but don't tell Jerry that. If he watches, you know, it is what it is. So, since you guys are behind the scenes a little bit, the update guys, what we like to do, give us your backstory, how you got into radio, how you got into the fan. Go with it.
Sure. So, I actually first got into radio in college. I went to Quinnipiac in Connecticut.
Oh.
Actually went there knowing I wanted to major in communications. Thought I was going to be a print guy, though. I was wrote for the school newspaper in high school. So I went to college thinking I was going to be a print guy. All of a sudden, a buddy of mine, a classmate, introduced me to the student radio station. Long story short, got involved doing that. Had my own sports show, did updates there. Started doing some play-by-play, some behind-the-scenes stuff for the basketball and the hockey teams up there, and kind of gave me the experience I needed when it came time to find an internship. So grew up listening to the fan. I've been living in Jersey since '97. Parents didn't let me have a TV in my room, so I went to bed every night. Yeah, I went to bed every night with the fan on, woke up in the morning with the fan on. So it was just kind of ingrained in me. So when it
We're
came
talking about the radio station, right? Not like a fan.
Yes,
okay.
WFAN. Sorry, I should have been more specific. I had a fan on the ceiling as well, so that was with me too.
Yeah.
But yeah, radio. So when it came time to find an internship, knowing I wanted to maybe work in radio, seemed like an obvious place to check out. But a lot of the internships that they kind of publicized were more in the promotions department, where you go to events and hand out giveaways and free tickets and stuff like that. But I was fortunate that my brother-in-law knew somebody who knew Mark Chernoff, who runs the station, got my resume there, got my internship summer between junior and college, or between junior and senior year of college, and been there ever since. I started, I guess it was May of 2007. I worked there as a senior in college, and I've been there. It's now coming up on just past 13 years, so that's the deal.
You had your own radio show in college in Quinnipiac. How was that, like, with the college system? Like, was it well known in college? Did everyone know you were kind of the guy, or no?
No, I wouldn't go that far, because the signal of the student radio station was so poor that and on parts of the campus, which is not very large for anyone that knows the school, you couldn't even get the station. So a lot of it was about word of mouth, letting people know, a lot of friends and family, people that would stream the show that weren't, there tuning into it, dialing it up. But it was more practice and reps for me, and sort of my space to get all my sports thoughts out there. At the same time I was doing it, I was also interning at the Fan. So I was taking a lot of what I was doing at Fan, like with production pieces and highlights. So I did a lot of highlight segments during the NFL season. Like, I would kind of do my own NFL primetime on the radio with primetime music and everything. But yeah, not a lot of people calling up to talk sports with me, other than my dad and a couple of my buddies. But it was good practice. So it was good experience, and definitely helped me kind of take the next step once it was time to sprout my wings outside of college.
So what was it? Go on, Raymond. Go on.
No, go on.
Oh, what was harder, hockey or what did you say? You did hockey or basketball? What was harder to do, play-by-play?
I did a lot of women's hockey, honestly, because the men's hockey team, which is the most well-known sports team at Quinnipiac, even more so now than it was then. They had the director of the sports communications department, who worked 30 years for WABC Radio in New York, Bill Schweitzer, who's basically a retirement job for him. He did hockey. So I was involved with some of those broadcasts, but more as like an on-site producer or a studio producer doing intermission, scoreboard updates, things like that. But doing the women's hockey play-by-play with a classmate of mine was tough because it moves fast. Obviously, it's tough to know all the names. You really got to kind of do your research and study up because these are not well-known athletes, beyond their families and their friends. So that was definitely eye-opening and a challenge. And honestly, I haven't done any play-by-play since college. That was the last time I did any play-by-play. I've done strictly updates and then certainly covering the Jets for whatever it was, 4 or 5 years. But no play-by-play since college.
Did you ever want to get back into it? Were you ever close to getting back in it?
Sometimes I miss it, but it's a tough thing to break into. I feel like I really would have had to stay with it after college and kind of work my way up because you got to take a lot of these low-level college jobs where you're basically working for free. You never know where it's going to take you travel-wise. So once I got married and had kids, I already worked a lot of nights and weekends as it was doing updates. The thought of adding a low-level play-by-play gig on top of that was a little bit more sacrifice, I guess, than I was willing to make at this point in my life. But never say never, and things can change maybe somewhere down the road, hopefully when we get sports back sometime soon. We'll see. It's possible.
So Chris, like when in going down that road, is it possible, like the more you're on WFAN and things like that, you could kind of get some of the gigs that the Chris Carlins and the Reccos are doing? Like, is that something that interests you, or is it more of they're in the right place, right time type thing?
I think it's probably a little of both. I mean, certainly having some name recognition helps a little bit, but what I do at the Fan as compared to a play-by-play gig is they're two very different things, so I might be really good at doing the updates on the Fan, and then all of a sudden, if I'm asked to do play-by-play on the spot, I might sound terrible. So, maybe it gets your foot in the door. It catches somebody's eye because they recognize the name, or the fact that, I've had 10 to 13 years of experience at the Fan on my resume. But you still got to be able to do the gig when push comes to shove. And, play-by-play it's one of those things where you can't script it. You're reacting live. You got to not be able to trip over your words and get tongue twisted. You got to know the names. You got to put the prep work in, the research, the studying. So, it's definitely an art form. So yeah, I'm intrigued by it for sure. I think the reason I shied away from it was, and this was one of the first things they told me at the Fan when I was trying to break in and become an on-air guy, an update guy, was at the time, Mark Chernoff and Eric Spitz, who were sort of the co-managers, said, you sound a little young. Your voice is a little too high. And what I found when I would do play-by-play in college was when I'd get excited when there was a big moment, my voice would go up, and it was a little too high because I don't really have that prototypical deep baritone radio voice that I guess a lot of people look for. I mean, there are plenty of play-by-play guys out there that don't sound that way, but I guess I was maybe a little self-conscious about that, and I just got away from it, and I never went back.
So you'd have the voice like this when they
right? Yeah, exactly. And I probably still got the tapes. I still got the tape somewhere to prove it. I'm sure, buried in a closet somewhere.
It's the voice you do when you're playing a video game and you just start like you're announcing the video game as you play.
Yeah, I do it with my son here when we play on his Little Tykes hoops. I do that sometimes. And
How many times do you dunk on him? Be honest.
Well, he only just turned 4, so I try to take it easy on him because he hasn't shown he hasn't taken a big liking to sports yet, so I'm trying not to ram it down his throat too much. I'm trying to kind of draw him in a little bit, and then once he takes interest, then I can really start to lay the hammer.
Do you realize what you just said? I'm waiting till he likes something so I could destroy him in it.
Yeah, because then I got to teach him about being competitive. That's But if I wreck it for him right out of the gate, then I may never get him back.
That's
Why
smart.
do you think I used to do that to you when you were younger?
Yeah. Well, the older brother, I'm sure when you're playing your kid, or if you have a brother, you pull the controller out, or he pulled the controller out when they were winning. So you got to learn how to do that too.
Yeah, for sure.
You're not cheating, you're not trying. That's what I say. When you were going to bed though, when you were younger with no TV in your room, who was the overnight host at that time? Was it Beningo?
Geez, I mean, it was such a long period of time. I feel like I remember listening to a lot of different shows. I think trying to remember now if I ever actually heard Joe on the overnight, maybe very early on. And then after that, it was a lot of, you had Summers, certainly a lot of Tony Page.
Mm-hmm.
I remember listening to Evan Roberts before he moved to the midday for sure.
And,
might have been weekend overnights. I'm fuzzy on what was Monday to Friday and what was on the weekend. But
and he was 19 at the time, and you were like, "What the hell?" Like,
right, yeah. Right out of high school, went down and worked for XM Radio in DC before they even merged with Sirius. Yeah, so he's had quite the career. So yeah, kind of a lot of different names, but I'd fall asleep with it on, and most mornings I'd wake up for school, and for whatever reason in the morning, probably because at that time there were more stations on the air, so there was more feedback, there was more static. So I'd wake up to a staticky Imus in the morning program.
Okay.
So I always associated Imus with having to wake up for school, so I hated the Imus show. I never got into it. It was like, this is triggering in my mind that I have to wake up and get out of bed and go to school, and it was static and it was loud and it was just like disrupting my sleep. So plus it wasn't sports, so I wasn't big on what they were doing. So went to bed with all the guys that I loved, and then woke up with the crew that I didn't love so much, but certainly have a lot of respect for the legacy that he built before, what happened with Rutgers. And that actually happened about a month before I started my internship there. So right as I was getting to Fan, he was on his way out.
Right. So what host inspired you on the Fan? Like what one was your favorite growing up?
Wow.
I know it's a great question.
It is a great question. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was definitely a Mike and the Mad Dog junkie, and especially when I went to college. And depending on my class schedule in any given semester, I'd have afternoons where I was just sitting in my dorm room. So I'd have them on. I'd have Yes on for the simulcast so I could watch them. That was when I'm a freshman in college as the Yankees are blowing the 3-0 lead in the ALCS to the Red Sox in 2004. And I'm right on the border of Yankee Red Sox country in Quinnipiac in Connecticut. So that's something I'll never forget. So I was locked into them. I used to call the Super Bowl contest the trivia show, Mike and the Marquee. So yeah, man, I definitely spent a lot of hours listening to those guys for sure.
We used to get drunk around a fire pit and try to call the Fan in 2007, and like Tony Page would be like, "We didn't understand you. Call back."
Right. Yeah. Tony Page, no drinking and driving. That's not that you guys were driving, but yeah, the overnight. You've got to be not just the host, but the board op, the producer. You got to be able to detect those people that just sound like they're a little off, because that's where things can get a little interesting in those hours. My
favorite on the Fan, honestly, she does overnight. My favorite on the Fan is Lori Rubinson. I love her on Sunday nights for after football. Like it's like with everything going on, she's not really on anymore, but. I wish she got like a bigger gig as a host. I've actually messaged her to try to get her on. Completely ignored me because I had three spelling errors in the message.
she's Ivy League educated. So
I sent the second message. I sent the second message with asterisks correcting my misspells. Yeah. So I tried. But
just keep hammering away. She's good people. I'm sure she'll come around. Yeah, I used to cross paths with her doing updates late at night. Certainly when I was covering the Jets, we talked a lot of Jets. So I always feel bad for her on the Sunday night, because the Westwood One post-game show just drags on and on because they're recapping every game from that day. And the games seem to end later and later on Sunday night. And she's sitting around waiting to get on. And sometimes it's not till after 1. And then she's only on till about 2 o'clock. So she kind of gets screwed over as far as the time goes. But
you get her on the holiday schedule when people.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm sure once all this passes, she'll get back to hosting some shows.
I hope so. Joe, you have a question?
Yeah. So Chris, how did you go from kind of you were doing kind of this in studio, producing, and then you took the leap into beat reporting, right, with the Jets?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, when I first started at the Fan, I was doing all behind the scenes stuff. I worked for Boomer and Carton for whatever it was, 18 months, kind of as a associate producer, and I didn't really get to do any on-air stuff until I got lucky one day. Chris Carlin at the time was still doing updates on the morning show. This is before Jerry Recco started in, that was January of 2009. So one day around the holidays, Carlin, there was a scheduling mix-up, and he didn't realize he was supposed to do updates on the morning show and then also host the midday show. So he didn't show up. not intentionally. It's just there was a miscommunication. So Craig Carton at the time decided, well, we'll have some fun with this. We'll have CeeLo and Bob Dwyer, who works on the show. They'll come in and they'll do dueling updates. And he thought, we'd fall flat on our face and they'd have a laugh about it. But of course, since I had experience doing that in college, I figured like this is kind of my shot. So I did it straight. I wasn't trying to be funny or screw up or anything. So it didn't work great as far as the bit on the show went, but it kind of caught the attention of my bosses. And a couple months later, I started doing updates part-time on the weekends. The Jet gig really didn't come about until Peter Schwartz, who worked at the Fan and at CBS Sports Radio. I don't know if you guys are that familiar with the name. He was covering the Jets. I would say this was right around the time they were in the back-to-back AFC title games, and a couple of years after that. And when they moved from Hofstra to Florham Park in Jersey, Peter's a Long Island guy, and he had 2 young kids, and it was just too much for him to be going back and forth 4 or 5 days a week. Yeah. So they were looking for someone to fill in like a day or 2 per week. So I kind of was his understudy for a couple seasons. The year Tim Tebow was there, that was interesting for sure, being in that locker room where things really kind of were starting to fracture. You had Plaxico Burress in there, Damian Tomlinson at the end, Santonio Holmes. It was quite the cast of characters. But he took a full-time job, and it opened up, and right place, right time. I had already kind of had some experience. I'd been in there. I was familiar with the team, with the locker room. Some of the players were familiar with me, so it was just an easy transition. And really enjoyed doing it for whatever it was, 4 or 5 years. But it just got to a point where it was a seasonal gig, and financially, it just wasn't adding up for me and my family. And the Fan, in this day and age, audio is available in so many outlets and sources that for them to pay me to go there and stick a microphone in front of someone's face and file some reports and come on talk shows, it just wasn't worth what I was looking to be compensated, compensation wise. So, no hard feelings. It was a good experience. I miss it sometimes, but it came to an end, and it's all good.
So you're a big Yankee fan, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah, I talked to my dad. I was like, yeah, I'm going to have CeeLo on. By the way, if you could give a quick shout out to Ray and Joanne, they'd love it.
Ray and Joanne, yeah. Absolutely. What's up, Ray and Joanne? Are they locked in now, or do you guys?
No, they're not locked
after the fact.
They wouldn't know how to work this. Are you kidding me?
I figured if they you got to support your kids, right?
My mom wakes up every morning and watches Boomer and Gio with my dad. So it's the one show they watch. So when I said I'd have you on, they were like, first of all, they didn't believe me. They were like, first they answered, they go, who is this? And I'm like, it's your son. Like, so my dad was like, he's a big Yankee fan. I go, all right, I'll ask him about it. So explain, because we're all Yankee fans except the guy in the top left, Brian. He roots for the Red Sox, but whatever. Let's just ignore that. Yeah.
So he was happy when I brought up 04 for sure.
Yeah, he's a dirty.
Yeah. The rest of us wanted to jump off a cliff.
Yeah. So yeah, we're all Yankee fans by family, obviously. Joe, oddly enough, your brother and dad are Mets fans, and he's a Yankee fan with his mother. So
made the right call.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
I was born with the brains.
Yeah. How'd you become a huge Yankee fan?
When I was baseball was my first love from as far back as I can remember. Right. My dad was big on taking home videos when I was a little tyke, because I was just fascinated by it from as soon as I could walk. So 2, pretty much. He's got hours of footage of me just running around in our living room in Queens. Sure enough, I was born in Queens. So until I was 4, I lived in Queens. So point being, I just loved baseball, and we lived in Queens. My dad worked for Mobil at the time in New York before they merged with Exxon, and they used to get great seats at Shea. So as a kid, even though my dad grew up a big Yankee fan, the Mets were right there. So we'd go all the time. So there's a lot of pictures of me as a youngin' in Mets gear because I just loved baseball. I didn't know any better. Yankee stuff as well. I followed both teams. My brother, who was 16 years older than me, used to quiz me. He'd pull out the baseball cards and he'd show it to me and say, who is this? And of course I'd be mumbling the words, not speaking clear English, but I knew the names. I knew who it was. But my really didn't become a true diehard Yankee fan. You call me a front runner if you want. I was 10. It was 1996. And at this point we had moved to Northern Virginia. So I'm living in, at the time, Redskins Orioles country because there was no Nationals. And my dad's a big Yankee fan. There's no yes, obviously, so I only get to see the Yankees here and there. But being a 10-year-old who played baseball, locally, youth, eat, sleep, live, breathe baseball, Jeter as a rookie hooked me and pulled me in. Like, I still remember the cleats he wore in '96. I had the same one. I went out and had my parents get me the same ones for All-Stars that summer, the 10-year-old All-Star team. So, watching him as a rookie and watching the '96 Yankees and obviously watching the '96 World Series, that's really where the memories start. Like, I have faint memories of watching in '95. I don't know, maybe we weren't locked in as much, in the division series with the Mariners. But growing up, a lot of Mets and Yankees, but there was definitely a separation once Jeter arrived on the scene. I can tell you I have no ill will towards the Mets or the fans. My grandmother on my dad's side was a massive Met fan, so we used to have fun. I have great memories of watching the Subway Series with my grandmother and my grandfather. So just a baseball family, New Yorkers, but yeah, definitely Yankees for sure.
I share nothing but animosity towards Mets fans. I hate their guts.
I feel like most Yankee fans are that way. I guess for me, it's like hard to hate on my elderly grandmother.
We were bred into that way of thinking. Our father literally said, "Either like the Yanks or you don't live under our roof."
Yeah.
That makes it pretty easy to decide.
So would you let your kids pick their baseball team, or no? They're Yankee fans. It's over.
No, I don't. Similar to, like I said before, like I'm trying not to jam it down my 4-year-old's throat because, I think before he was even born, I think I was just sensitive to it because I was such a diehard, and my dad did not force it on me at all. It just was something I just attached to and grabbed hold of at a young age, and for me to expect my kids to have that same passion, maybe, but it's unrealistic to just assume it's going to happen. And I don't want to be that overbearing dad that, really tries to force it on them and say, you have to do this, you have to like that, you have to watch this. If it's meant to be, it'll be. I think it's also easier for me to say that because I work in sports. Right. So it's like I'm constantly getting my fix, with my job. Even when I'm not at work, I'm staying up on what's going on. So, every now and then getting a break from it, whether it's with my wife watching a show or if my son wants to, get his coloring book or watch Paw Patrol or whatever the heck it might be. For now, it's a nice little escape from what I'm used to. But as he gets older, I'd be lying if I said I don't hope that he attaches to it. Some sport doesn't have to be baseball. I played hockey, I played basketball. The only organized sport I didn't play of the majors was football. Right. I hope, but I'm not. The short answer to my long answer is I'm not going to be forcing any of it on him for sure.
All right, that's really good. Joe, what about you and your kids?
So they're only Yankee fans. That's the only thing on TV, right? When baseball.
Right.
That's the secret weapon.
CeeLo just won the Father Award of the Year, and Joe's thinking in his head like, yeah, my kids are Yankee fans.
Don't worry. There's plenty of other aspects where I'm not Dad of the Year, so it's all good.
What's up, Brian?
Scott, what would happen if you came home with a Keith Hernandez jersey?
My dad hates Keith Hernandez, like, more than anyone. He says I'd hate that. He says he's a rat. That's what he says. He's a rat. First of all, he hates Keith Hernandez because he said, Mattingly was better. Keith Hernandez wasn't, and it pisses me off. I'm like, my dad got his first Yankee tattoos at 61 years old. Like, wow. he just went and got Yankee tattoos. My mom, copied my brother. Yeah. So my dad he got a Mickey Mantle 7 tattoo. My mom had to talk him out of tattooing this pinstripe jersey on his back. I swear to God.
Like a full back pinstripe.
Yeah, 51 because Bernie's like his favorite.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like he was gonna get a full pinch. They were gonna name me Thurman. My mom had to talk to me.
I saved you on that.
Oh yeah, thanks. Some third.
I thought you were gonna pull a Seinfeld and say they were gonna name you 7.
No. With Thurman, I would not have friends. I barely have friends now, but it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, you would have needed a nickname quickly.
Therm the Germ. It's over. I would have. Brian wouldn't be friends with me. There's no chance.
Oh my God.
So with the fan now, just you don't have to answer, but like with a lot of beef goes on with the Francesa stuff. Do you stay out of it all? Honestly, like
I really try to. I mean, if I'm there with Boomer and Gio, if I'm filling in for Recco, and stuff comes up on the air, or there's a funny clip for me to play, it's like I kind of have to put it out there just to tee them up, and then I kind of just step back and let them do their thing.
Right.
Because I mean, listen. People say a lot of things about Mike. Listen, I'm not behind closed doors at his house. I don't really know what he's like as a human being because I don't have the experience. All I can say is from a professional standpoint, he's always been great. He's been great to me. He's looked out for me. He let me come on and talk Jets, which he didn't do with all of our Jet reporters. He hooked me up with getting my other gig at Sirius where I do updates. So, just from a personal standpoint, I can't speak badly about him, but I'd be lying if I said I don't enjoy some of the parody stuff that goes on. I mean, I follow all the stuff on Twitter. I mean, the jokes they write themselves. And honestly, I think this is my personal opinion. I don't know this as fact. I think Mike is much more tuned into it than he lets on. And I think he's smart enough and savvy enough as a businessman to recognize that it helps his brand at this point. And I think that's smart. Right. So it works for everybody. It works for everybody. It's entertaining. People have a laugh, whether it's at his, in his face, about him, with him, whatever it might be. The point is it's supposed to be entertainment. And I think he's done that for a long time.
Right.
Now, Chris, to that point with the Funhouse Twitter account.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think kind of transpired with that? And if you can't kind of get into it, whatever, I totally get that. Do you think he kind of had a role in that?
I don't. It's not that I can't get into it. I don't know the details, just because a big reason why is so much of that has been going on since we've all been at home. So I haven't been to the studios in like 7 weeks now.
Right.
So, and a lot of the stuff, I mean, listen, everyone can, people text and whatnot or send messages, but a lot of the scuttlebutt, as Boomer would like to say, you get from being there in the newsroom and just from, interacting with people, walking by somebody. Oh, did you hear this? Did you hear that? So I don't know for sure. I know that Entercom has made a big deal out of their digital platforms. So if you put a gun to my head, I'd say it was more an executive suits decision than it was a Francesa decision, but I don't know that for sure.
Interesting.
I know Francesa is actually a good guy because my wife is ex. Before I met her and married her, she dated Monzo for years.
Oh, okay.
So
before Monzo got married and had 7 kids.
Yeah. So Monzo.
He has another kid after this quarantine.
Won't shock me. I'm waiting for the whatchamacallit, the announcement. Usually, you know what it is? It's usually, not to cut off your story, usually it's the holiday card. They send the holiday card and it's, oh, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and coming in April of whatever the next year is. That's usually how they do it. Sorry, go ahead.
You're going to have a starting lineup soon.
Yeah.
If you can, not comment in depth, but like when the Carton situation happened, were you working?
I was working in the same capacity, in the same role that I'm always in, which is sort of like think of me as like the swing tackle, except I'm not as big as a tackle. So, I'm bouncing around to different spots, whether it was an overnight shift, evenings, midday, morning. So, basically I was just filling in when Jerry was out. So once the Craig thing went down, I think I did that first week maybe, and then they were not really sure, like, okay, we're going to have guest hosts come in. So Jerry was back to doing updates. But once they committed to, okay, Jerry is going to be the fill-in host with Boomer for the rest of the year, then it was clear, like, okay, so I'm going to be Jerry for the rest of the year. So it was basically a quarter of the year because that was right when they came back from summer vacation, like shortly after Labor Day. Yeah. So I would say, I think it was all of October, November, and December, and then Gio started in January. So, it was a surreal situation. I think we all tried to make the best of it. It helped, obviously, that we had Yankees playoff baseball to talk about, and that kind of rallied the troops and drove a lot of the content and the talking points. But there's just a surreal situation, especially, having worked for him, alongside him, knowing him a little bit outside of radio. I mean, not the way Al and Jerry and Boomer did, or Eddie Scazzeri, but just blew my mind. And yeah, I reached out to him, but as you can imagine, I'm sure he was inundated with messages and whatnot. So I haven't spoken to him or talked with him. So you know, I hope he's hanging in there. Obviously, feel bad for everyone that was affected, but it's one of those things where I think if you know the person off the radio, you have a different take, because I know how he is off the air, and he can be a very like down to earth, sort of quiet, almost sheltered guy. And I know he loved his kids dearly. And, you know, I just hope they all find their way, and that when he gets out, he can get back to what he does best, and, you know, kind of make restitution and make amends with whoever was affected, and, you know, go on with his life.
Yeah, us too, man.
You know, it's funny because when things happen, and I'll call him a celebrity. And when things happen with that, and your first you have two reactions. The first one's either, you know, as fans or things like that, people kind of look and they love that failure side of it, and then the negative side. He was one guy, literally, when it happened, I'm like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
He was so good at what he did, you know, and he was great to listen to, and it was one that you just felt bad for him. You felt bad for the family. Obviously, you feel bad for everyone affected by it, but he was one guy where I was like, man, I wish you did not do that. I wish you could take that back, because he was great.
And I'm sure he feels that, and that's what he's dealing with as he, you know, reflects and goes through what he's going through. So you just hope that, again, on the backside, it's something that sticks with him, and that he can get back to where he wants to get to.
And not for nothing, though, Gio actually filled in perfectly. Like, Gio's just the perfect counter, honestly, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. You know, I've known him a long time. When I started interning, he was producing, so I was, you know, interacting with him quite a bit, and you know, happy for him. Obviously, his decision to go to Pittsburgh ended up working out pretty well. He came back, did the network show, and again, it's, you know, right place, right time for him. I don't mean right time as far as what happened with Craig. I mean, obviously, you'd prefer to get the job under different circumstances, but I guess, you know, everything happens for a reason, and it's definitely a tough spot for him to walk into. And I didn't really feel, and maybe I'm biased, but I didn't feel like there was that much of a transitional feeling out period. I feel like they hit the ground running pretty much from day one, and they've done a great job, and I think the ratings reflect that.
Now, are you allowed to bring up, like, are you, like, hesitant to bring up ESPN radio around there, the guys like Rosenberg, or do you kind of, is there a stigma about it? Or, you know, if Michael K says something you like, or if Don LaGreca, you just bring it up. Is there, like, an animosity around there, stepping on eggshells?
There's no animosity for me, just because I don't really know any of the guys over there personally all that well, other than Larry Hardesty, because we used to hang out a lot on the jet beat. Great guy, by the way. So I don't know a lot of the guys there. I would say there's an animosity, not on a personal human to human level, but certainly between the stations, because they're in competition. So I take the approach of, you know, I'm the sort of the low man on the totem pole, the wee little update guy who's not even a full timer. So I try to really tiptoe and make sure I don't go too far. I think for a guy like Boomer or Gio or Mike, if they want to bring something up or take a shot, it's a lot easier to get away with than if I tried to do that. You know, you don't hear us playing audio from ESPN, as you know. That's not even I think that's just, we're embargoed from using their stuff, and they're embargoed from using our stuff. Honestly, it's a petty, the whole thing is petty, but
it's a high school drama.
And you know, it's above my pay grade. That's the suits, that's the executives that decide on all that stuff. So it's sort of like that, you know, it's that elephant in the room that doesn't get talked about that often. So it is what it is. It just comes with the business, and there being competition locally between the two stations.
It kind of does work to your advantage a little bit, because it makes people, some people that might not necessarily listen often, they may hear about, like, kind of that rivalry, and just to go back and forth, let me tune in, let me see if anybody says anything, you know, just little things like that.
And you know what? That might honestly, that could be sort of the strategy and the approach from both sides is the old. There's no such thing as bad publicity. So it's sort of like, hey, if
Like
this is
everyone eats, you know?
if everyone's talking about this on Twitter and it's getting written about on blogs and newspapers, you know, our names are getting out there. So it's not the worst thing, I guess.
It's like the great Monday Night Wars with WCW and WWE.
Always got to throw wrestling in.
Yeah,
Always.
Hey, we got not myself personally. I'm about as ignorant as it comes with pro wrestling, but there are a lot of, I'm sure you guys know, a lot of guys at the station that are Evan, Monzo, my good buddy Tommy Lugauer. I mean, there's a lot of them that are really into it.
It's unbelievable.
They love it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we got to get Evan on to talk wrestling.
There you go.
I listen to his wrestling podcast all the time while I'm at work when I'm bored.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I'll tell you what.
He's
For
not.
a guy that he doesn't have 2 kids, but he's got a son. I mean, I don't know where he finds the time to do it. It's like, dude, you host a 4-hour show, you commute in from Westchester. Some days you're riding your bike, like, you know, just go home and go to bed or hang out with your wife and your kid. Like, you don't need to. Listen, it's good content for you guys if you love wrestling, but it's like he just, he doesn't stop. You
don't need to get on at your age with a kid and talk about it. The Undertaker got suplexed off the top ropes.
Yeah, he's definitely a rare breed, that's for sure.
Now, CeeLo, the reason like me and you started to go back and forth on Twitter is because you quoted Little Big League, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and you commented the scene, the paint scene.
Yeah.
Hey.
What color paint? And then you were like, wow, that's such an underrated movie. And I have to tell you, I agree 100%. Little Big League is the most underrated 90s kids movie of all time because it was overshadowed by Rookie of the Year and The Sandlot. But you go back to quotables, it is the best. The Bowers stuff. So, like, what other 90s movies did you grow up watching? Like Little Giants?
Oh, my God.
Like give us some.
Are we talking just sports movies?
Yeah, sure. Sports movies.
Oh man, well, I mean, no disrespect to Rookie of the Year. I mean, I love The Sandlot for sure. Right. But I don't know. I feel like Little Big League kind of got lost in the shuffle in the public eye and the kind of mainstream. But yeah, there were some gems in there for sure. Man, it's funny. My dad, during this whole quarantine, has had a daily question that goes out to our extended family. There's like, I don't know, 15 to 20 of us on the scene, and it's crazy because I'm like, my wife and I, we keep saying, like, we got 2 kids. We're both working from home. It seems like everybody else has all the time in the world. There's like 30 emails going back and forth per day. And I'm like, I'm just trying to do my job. But anyway, so one of the questions the last couple of days were top 10 comedies and then top 12 all other genres ever. Yeah. And I'm a huge movie guy. So I get all stressed out and I have to like go through my binder of DVDs. Back in the day, everyone streams now, but I was a big DVD Blu-ray collector, and I got to write my lists and whittle everything down. So I'm trying to think of movies that were on the list that were 90s movies, and specifically, I mean, I love all the baseball movies. Yeah.
Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah, I just watched that.
Yeah, Angels in the Outfield was solid. I would put that 4th among the Rookie of the Year.
Jeez. Little
Big League, Angels in the Outfield, and what was the other one we said? Sandlot, yeah. Sandlot's probably number 1 for me. I think I go Sandlot, Little Big League, Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield among those 4. League of Their Own, one of my all-time favorite movies ever. Yeah, that's probably in my top 10. Just any genre.
Yeah, everybody's lived it that played baseball. We've all been.
And another movie, I mean, John Lovitz's 10 minutes in the beginning alone. There's like 5 gems in there alone.
Will you shut up? Yeah, he yells at the chicken.
You regret a lot of night games.
Yeah, there was so much bang for his buck in those, whatever it was, 10 or 15 minutes.
I've been traded to Racine. Traded? They said they were going to trade me. Oh, yeah, like they trade you. Miss Perfect. I love when she does the split and the other catcher goes, I can't do that. And the guy goes,
Who can? Yeah. Even Gary Moore, when Tom Hanks goes to Gary Marshall's house and they're like having the back and forth, and he's like, I hurt my knee. You fell out of a hotel. That's right, you hurt the knee. Trying to say hello to these are my in-laws. Hello, they can't hear anything. It's just, I don't know. It's a charming movie for sure.
Avoid the clap, Jimmy Dugan.
Yeah. Oh, Monzo and I do that one all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't make movies like that anymore. Like even Mighty Ducks, the first two Mighty Ducks are classics still.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Love Mighty Ducks. I was huge on Mighty. I was a big street hockey, roller hockey guy growing up. So when they incorporated that into the movies, it was big for my friends and I at the time, living in Virginia. So
Mighty Ducks 2 was probably one of the greatest sequels of all time.
Major League.
Major League 2, you know.
Oh yeah, I knew I'm forgetting stuff. Major League. I mean, but yeah, 1 and 2 are just tremendous.
Yeah, send me back to Omaha. I don't even live there.
Yeah. Rube Baker was a phenomenal character. Major League 2. Rube Baker, phenomenal.
Fredericks of Hollywood. Yeah.
Joe, did you have any questions?
I think my favorite lines in the first one though, when I forget the big slugger from the Yankees, he gets up.
Oh,
he
he
goes,
beat his kid in a father-son charity game, right?
Taylor, what are you doing up? What are you doing back there? I couldn't cut it in the Mexican League. How's your wife and my kids? I mean, that is how's your wife and my kids is one of the all-time great lines.
Oh, it is great.
Yeah.
Joe, did you have a question about like the quarantine? How he's keeping his kids entertained? You want some tips?
Yeah. So quarantine wise, so so we have 3 kids in my family, and everyone's
trying to catch up to Monzo.
What ages are we dealing with here?
So I got an 18-month, a 4-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
You said 18 months, 4 and 5?
Yep.
Oh my God.
And Joe's a kid himself. I mean, let's be honest.
Wow. All of a sudden, I don't feel as bad about my situation. We have my son just turned 4 on Saturday, so we had a big drive-by parade. Everyone came by with signs and honking their horns, and they had the fire trucks and the police cars come by. So that was kind of cool. So we got 4, and then my youngest will be 1 on May 4th. And he, in the midst of being home here, quarantined, I would say within the first week of us being home, decided to stand up and figure out how to walk. So he is now mobile, on the move. He's opening cabinets. I mean, he's put him down. He walks away into a corner where you can't see him. So my wife works Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5. I've been working for the most part 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday at Sirius, and I've been doing a weekend shift on the Fan and CBS Sports Radio. So it's been a challenge, man. I mean, I feel like most days, we're up around 7. I would say by 9:30, 10 o'clock, the house looks like a war zone. I mean, there is stuff everywhere. And that's partially our fault because we provide them with so much to play with, or we've accumulated so much stuff from family members and birthdays and holidays or whatever. So it's just, honestly, every day is just survival mode, really. And I don't mean that to sound insensitive to what people are doing, beyond the walls of their home. So that what I'm talking about is peanuts in comparison to the big picture. But inside the walls of our house with these kids at these ages, it's definitely a challenge. So I don't have all that many tips except enjoy the good weather days, get outside for walks. We actually just my in-laws, my parents, and my siblings all chipped in, and we just got a play set for the backyard that just got set up for his birthday Saturday. So that's been huge because he's going to spend a ton of time out there now. So that's it. He misses his school like hell. He was going to preschool 5 days a week, full days. So that was really, he's a kid that thrives on like structure and schedule and routine. So it's been an adjustment, but it has for everybody, I'm sure everybody, no matter what age, what situation, everyone's adapting to just a very unusual, unnatural, unorthodox circumstance.
Sheila, do you have any funny Boomer stories?
Funny Boomer stories.
Yeah. Or you play a prank, anything like that. Because he looks like the kind of guy you can't joke with, and if you play a prank on him, he gets you back by flattening your tire.
Yeah. If you're gonna play a prank on him, you have to expect there to be like physical retaliation.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't know his own strength. Like, I mean, you guys tune in. He's like broken multiple bones of people that, whether it's Al, Mark Chernoff, not intentionally. He's just such a massive human being. Funny Boomer stories. I don't know. I know Gio shared some of this, and they've even put the pictures up on CBS Sports Network. Like, they'll be at an event and someone will flash a picture of Boomer and he's got the bulge going,
Yeah.
you know? Like that stuff, just because I feel like when they bring that up on the air, he legit gets embarrassed and he doesn't know what to say. So that always cracks me up. It's just another example. He's just he's a former professional athlete and there's such a different breed. Like I get not everybody's 6'5", but it's just such a when he walks in the building every day and he walks through the doors onto our floor, his presence, you just feel it right away. It's like, this is not a normal human being.
The ground shakes. So, it's like the T-Rex and the water moves in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. Not only because of his physical stature, but oh crap, did I lose you guys?
No,
you got me.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not just that, but like he's shot out of a cannon. Like he comes in and it's like the deep voice, and right away, like the door hasn't even closed. Morning, men. Like good morning. How's everyone doing? It's like 5:15 in the morning.
Calm down.
Exactly. Yeah. And he's ready to go. And when we were before we moved to Manhattan, when we were in Astoria in Queens, we used to have an intercom system, a PA, where you'd pick up any phone it was in the basement. I'm sure you guys have heard those stories. John Minko loves to tell that about the fact that we worked in a basement. So you pick up the phone, if you press, I don't remember what it was, star, whatever you said into the phone would go over the loudspeakers. So he and Craig in the morning before the show started, they had their office was this tiny little closet in the back corner. Like now everyone has their own office. We're on the 10th floor of a Manhattan high rise. It's a completely different situation. So we're in this basement to begin with, and the two of them are shacked up in this closet, and they would pick up the phone, get the intercom going, and they would blast the loudest, most obnoxious music at 5:15 in the morning, just to get themselves going and to make sure we were all awake. So it's like everyone's rubbing the sleep out of their eyes, everyone's grouchy, drinking their coffee, and once they came in, you pick up the phone and all of a sudden you got this loud, obnoxious music on just to wake everybody up.
Shout out to Al Dukes, because Raymond here, you sold the car to him?
No, I was his service advisor when he had his Ford.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He used to come in to get his Ford fixed, and we broke it.
You broke his Ford?
Yeah, we had to give him like a rental car. To get back to work.
But tell him about how. So Raymond insulted the guy who made the songs.
Oh yeah. Well, I asked him because the one time he comes in, I look at the name, and then his keychain. He had the old WFAN helmet keychain on his keys.
Yeah.
So I said, "Are you Al Dukes from WFAN?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, I always said if I ever met you because of your annoying songs, I would punch you in the face. And he literally tweeted it out after I walked away. But I was joking with him. But I think I scared the shit out of him.
You probably did.
He's a fragile man. He's very dry.
He is a fragile man. He likes the bicep curls, but there's not much else to him. And he definitely he's not running headfirst into confrontation, and especially as we learned, whatever it was a few months ago with the 911 call, and Madawan, and the dog attack, and all that. He's not about to run outside and roll up his sleeves and get involved. That's for sure.
Now, CeeLo, what we like to do here, a lot of people find it corny. I find it fun. I have a gun to your head segment where I ask you random questions. You just got to choose here, okay?
Okay.
It could be anything from sports to food to music. Now, I only had 5, but we had a rapper, Mickey Fax, on last week, and after I was done with 5, he yelled at me for not having more. So I got 9 or 10, all right?
All right.
You did 30 with him.
Yeah, he wouldn't stop. So
he was like, keep him coming, keep him coming.
Yeah, all right. Nachos or boneless buffs?
Boneless buffs.
Sega or Super Nintendo?
Sega.
Madison Square Garden or Yankee Stadium?
Oh, wow. No disrespect to Yankee Stadium. MSG is my favorite place on earth.
Oh, what about the old Yankee Stadium?
I know. I know you meant the old Yankee Stadium, and I recently tweeted, I think, that I missed the old place, and I do. I have fond memories of going there, but a Ranger playoff game at the Garden is that is at the very top of my list.
In fact, all right, here's one. If there's a Game 7, Rangers Stanley Cup, on at 7 p.m. and a Game 7 of the World Series with the Yankees, which one are you watching on the TV and which one is on your laptop? Yeah.
I would say
Rangers
hockey
stuff.
on the TV because I feel like it's harder to
Yeah.
follow
That's
on the
true.
small screen than the baseball is.
Now, if you
And
had
plus, and the hockey's going to move faster. You've got the intermissions. I can switch, and the game's going to be, unless it goes into overtime, it's going to be over way before the baseball. So I can always flip to the Yankees on the main screen after the hockey ends.
all right, you have free tickets to each of those games. Which one are you going to?
Oh, MSG, hands down.
All right. So this leads into the next one. If you could have a walk-off home run in a World Series, overtime goal for a Stanley Cup, game-winning shot in the NBA, or game-winning touchdown catch in the Super Bowl, which one? I think about these.
I like that. I like this stuff. In fact, I may steal some of these for my family question of the day, honestly.
Perfect. Just shout us
I would
out.
say because, baseball was the sport I played the longest at the highest level, and I was a singles, doubles, line drives guy. I think I only hit like 3 home runs over an actual fence in my life, and I never had a walk-off homer. Walk-off homer in the to win the World Series and getting the full trot around the bases and the dog pile.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
All right. Little Rascals or the Goonies?
Little Rascals.
All right, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one.
I just have more
I am with
experience.
you.
I have more experience
Yes.
with Little Rascals than the Goonies, so
All right.
it's almost like a default answer for me.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs, and it's
Right.
funny because I've never had a dog.
Right.
My dad. It's gonna come out wrong. It's not that he hates dogs; he's just not a dog guy.
Yeah.
And I wanted a pet as a kid, so we had 2 cats. So I've lived with cats, but I've always said since I was a young kid that someday I want to have a dog because I love dogs.
Right. Well,
You
it's
know
like
we're sponsored by PETA, right?
What do you say?
We're sponsored by PETA.
no, we're not.
Peter King? Is that what you're looking for me to say? Like dog? Peter King?
No, freaking Richard Jefferson, I remember on one broadcast said, like, he brought up, who, by the way, is great at the Nets game. Richard Jefferson's really good.
Yes, he is.
He was like, people who like cats are like guys who drink beers out of straws. And I just started cracking up. And
I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Trust cats.
Yeah, cats are weird.
Yeah, they're very surly, and they want to keep to themselves. I mean, our cats as they got older would like disappear in the closets for days. You wouldn't see them for days. It's crazy.
They don't live in your house. They live in or around the vicinity of your home.
All right. Skittles or Starburst?
Oh wow. Starbursts.
Okay.
Not as bad on the teeth.
You go to a vacation, the pool or the ocean?
This is sacrilegious in my family because my dad is the ultimate beach man, and I was when I was younger, but I'm definitely a pool guy these days. I don't like being covered in sand.
Right.
Yeah.
I just
I
don't.
agree. All right. Dinosaurs, Yoshi or Reptar?
Yoshi.
All right. I would have went with the Rugrats, but whatever.
Reptile nice, baby.
All right. Here we go. Jean shorts or cargo shorts? Come on, be honest.
Definitely cargo shorts.
God damn it.
Definitely cargo
Well,
shorts.
maybe
I've spent more time in life wearing them than I have jean shorts. So
Jean
Yeah, what are
shorts.
you, John Cena?
No. Jean shorts will make a comeback one day. I guarantee it.
I'm sure they will. Everything makes a comeback,
Yeah,
right?
and I have one in my drawer just in case because I love it.
The question is, will you still fit into it when the time comes?
I've been a size 36 waist since I was 15. I grow everywhere else.
That's all right. That's impressive.
Like a lava lamp. Get moving all over the place and
All right.
shit.
CeeLo, this could really mean, this one here could mean if we're friends or not. All right? Like, seriously. Tony Romo or Phillip Rivers?
Yes.
You know, I got to go Phillip Rivers.
Oh,
because
God, we're done.
Yes.
Good
Here's
point.
why. Here's
All
my
right,
reasoning.
I am a Cowboys fan, by
You
the
ready?
way. And I'm a
Yeah, so
Eagles.
number one is, I'm a Giants fan, even though I covered the Jets.
Mhm.
Similar to Yankees Mets, I have no hate for the Jets, though. So it's hard for me to pick Romo, but I pick Rivers, not even having anything to do with football, but I'm fascinated with what his at-home dynamic must be, where he has 9 kids now.
Like 9 kids, yeah.
Like, how many more kids does he need at this point, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I stopped listening after you picked Phillip Rivers, so
Oh, okay.
that's
fair.
dead to me.
That's
Bud Light or Budweiser?
Bud Light, sorry.
Super Mario World or Sonic?
Sega guy.
That's really good. I know I'm a Sega guy, but I spend more time overall playing Mario, so I go Mario.
Well, and you were a younger brother, so you were Luigi, right?
Yeah, but see, there was a huge age gap. See, my brother was 15 going on 16 when I was born.
Right.
So you want to know who I actually had to fight for video game time? My dad. My dad's a gamer. He's still
Right.
he's 71 now, and he still plays Xbox. I kid you not.
My dad used to play Double Dribble with us. Remember that shitty game for Nintendo?
Absolutely.
The worst game of all time.
That game was horrible.
Horrible. Double Dribble and Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel and
Blades of
shit.
Steel. Wow.
Yeah. All right, would you rather do video games or go to an arcade?
Video games.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I'd be up all night sometimes playing games at home.
Here's one. We did an episode. It was like our 5th episode. We did NASCAR or not, right? And I gave a list of things you'd rather watch over NASCAR. Are you a NASCAR fan or no?
Not
Okay,
even.
This
not
is
even
great.
A little bit.
This is great. Joe hates this.
Real. This is unbelievable.
Be honest. Would you rather watch these sports over NASCAR? You ready? So
Yeah, I'm
obviously the 4 major ones, yes, right?
Yep.
Golf.
No.
I love golf. 100%.
Okay. All right. Darts.
No.
Yes.
I'd probably watch darts over NASCAR.
Right.
You guys kidding?
Yeah,
I mean,
agree.
I don't. NASCAR doesn't do anything for me. They drive in a circle. I mean, I can go outside.
I'm with you.
Darts would be pretty compelling.
Yeah, bro, darts is great, man. Like I said, if someone hits the 63, there's an announcer who just goes 180. Amazing.
Got
Yeah.
my dartboard right there.
All right, what about the simulation video game, like the Simulation League?
I can say I'm proud to say I've yet to watch any of those. But at a time like this, like when you give me some of these big shot pro players that are playing each other, I would check that out over NASCAR.
Wow.
Jimmy Johnson or no?
What do you say?
Jimmy Johnson or no? Like him playing NASCAR?
Jimmy Johnson, the driver?
Yeah.
Like what? Simulated NASCAR or him playing another game?
So all of the NASCAR drivers.
Yeah, they do that iRacing.
have their
Yeah,
own-
right. The guy, what's his name? He got fired because he dropped the N-word. Yeah.
Yeah. So
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I'm saying these guys, like the baseball guys are playing MLB The Show right now. I'd rather sit and watch that than an actual NASCAR.
Woo! I'm with you. What about the spelling bee?
Oh, definitely the spelling bee.
What?
Kidding me? Oh, no question.
This is rigged.
There's a lot of variables there. I mean, and that thing can get completely out of control at any
People
point.
have fainted.
Yeah. Yeah. What about me super gluing Monopoly pieces on a board to hang up on my wall?
That's where I'll draw the line.
All right.
I'll watch some NASCAR over that. What is there? Was that the last one, or is there something even worse than that on the list?
I mean, there's worse stuff I can't say, but you know.
Okay, right.
But CeeLo, what do you got? What do you got coming up? Where can we catch you on Sirius XM? Plug yourself.
Well, I just finished up my week. I do Monday, Tuesday, so I'm off now till next week for Sirius. So now
What station?
I bounce all over. So I've been handling universal updates at the top of the hour that go across multiple sports stations. I can't tell you all the ones, most of the major ones: NFL, Mad Dog, NBA. MLB actually does not take the top of the hour. I don't know why. And then at the bottom of the hour, I do the 2-minute drill on NFL radio. This weekend, I'm working Sunday. You'll hear me top of the hour on the Fan locally and CBS Sports Radio nationally. It's the same thing. They're simulcasting right now. That's it, pretty much.